Okay, we have some GIS data now that we can work with. One of the things that I've noticed on my computer, at least, you can see on my computer that I only have 32 logical processors, 128 gigs of RAM, and I'm kind of limited on the number of solid state drives that I have on this thing. ArcGIS is not a 64-bit program natively. You do need to install something additional to get it to process in 64 bits. So it is going to only use 1 to 2 of these processors here. But still, one of the things I want to do is kind of clip this data down more to my area of interest. So I don't think anybody is actually going to do a storm, water, sewer network analysis of the entire city of Manhattan. You're probably going to choose an area. So the thing I'm going to do now is kind of zoom in to the area that I think I'm going to do. And I'm going to clip my data down to that area to make this more usable for me on my computer. So what I've decided to do is go into Riley County GIS, and inside of there, in the Utilities City, I turned on everything that talked about stormwater stuff. Basically these check boxes here. And then over here, I kind of chose an area that I'm going to try to do. So what this is here, this is Aggieville. So this is at Triangle Park. And then right here, this is Bluemont Avenue. And then I think up and through here, it's like one way. I think you can actually drive in through here. But going like, this is Morrow Street. Trying to go through here is one way. I think you can only go from like to the west side to the east. And I think over here, it's the opposite direction. But I'm going to try to do this run that's happening in between here. So one of the things I'm obviously going to have to do is kind of determine what my area of interest is going to be, or my system boundary. I can see I've got some neighboring pipe here. And I know this area pretty well. I know that there's a curb and gutter system going on here. And the roads are kind of considered as streets. They have a crown, probably with a 2% cross slope on each side of that crown. So in this area here, that crown of the street could very well be kind of like my watershed boundary for this area that I want to model. I don't really know what's going on down here. I may have to take a little bit of a guess as to what's going on down here. But now going over here to my GIS, I can see right away that this 2009 data of my storm lines and my manholes or sewer points, it doesn't really match up. So what I'm actually going to do is not use these. So I'm just going to remove them because they're not useful, they're not up to date, they're horribly out of date, so I'm just going to remove them. And now I just have kind of just that aerial photography showing in the background. So something that might help me to determine how I'm going to define my system boundary. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is kind of sketch it in rough. You know, kind of like what I'm thinking it might be, but it might not actually be. So what I'm going to do is use my draw bar here, which I have dragged down to the bottom. If you don't have a draw bar, you can just right click somewhere in the gray space here. And these are all of the possible bars that you can have in your GIS. So I have checked in this draw one. And when I check that in, the draw bar should pop up somewhere in your interface. You can drag and drop it and dock it somewhere. And then on the draw bar, I have this rectangle tool. Yours might look like a line or something else depending upon what the default was. But I'm choosing rectangle because it's an easily replicatable shape. And I'm just going to draw one in just really rough in here somewhere. And I'm going to right click on it and go to the properties. And I'm going to make the fill color no color. And the boundary is something that just sticks out so I can see it. I can see that. So worst case scenario, I think it might be around here where my boundary is going to be, and about here. You know, I'm thinking that's probably the center line of the street, and somewhere around here. Now this bottom one, I mean this left and right one I think I'm pretty sure about, but this one here I'm not 100% sure about. So a way to be 100% sure where that boundary should be is if I could delineate some contours.